Hello and welcome to the Complete Keto Diet. This is a coaching session for the Complete Keto Diet, but today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to include absolutely everyone in this thing, so I'm just going to make sure that my microphone is turned on. If you can hear me, then that is fantastic. I'm just making sure that all of this stuff is, yeah, it sounds like it's going through. Cool. Okay, so we need to get that down. So today's session is all about electrolytes, and you know, it's the complete guide to electrolytes. So I want to make sure that you know, everyone has got access to this and access to this information. So so Renee's just joined in. She said, I was just watching your gift video on YouTube. That's fantastic. That's so good. You know, so I've got a lot of really awesome, juicy information here to give everyone on, you know, on this YouTube channel, because I really love providing really good information for those people who follow this channel. And you know, it's information, because I'm a nutritional therapist as well. This is information that is really succinct and very well qualified. So I think that I'm pretty well qualified to talk about electrolytes and things like sodium, magnesium, and potassium and calcium. And so I'm going to be giving you the real information behind this sort of stuff, and also some recipes to go with it, because a lot of the time it's really hard to actually implement electrolytes, because people talk about electrolytes. They're like, oh, you just need to have more electrolytes. And I hear that and I go, I don't think people understand quite what electrolytes are. They know that it can come in a tablet form where you just need to have some more salt. But in reality, you really need to be able to get some really great information about electrolytes before you start jumping in, because some things can be out of balance and some things can't. So you know, let's say hi to a few people who've joined in already. Renee is here. And Tice66 says, I'm starting my keto journey tomorrow. Any tips? This video is going to help you a lot. This is going to be fantastic. So let's move on to the first section. So what are electrolytes? Well, they're electrically charged minerals, and they allow nerves to travel from one point to another. So if you think about electricity, you know how electricity goes through water very easily, and it can go through salty water even easier. It's the same with nerves. So nerves need electrolytes to be able to send information to other nerves in your brain, in your body, and they also help muscles to contract. So anything that you're doing in a resistance type way, or you know, just moving, or even the facial movements in your face, it all requires electrolytes. And electrolytes are a really simple balance, but sometimes they can be you know, off-put by a lot of different things. So one of them is to make sure you stay hydrated. But with hydration, you know, a lot of people on the ketogenic diet, they might be starting out and they're like, well, I'm drinking plenty of water. Why have I still got a crazy headache? And that's what I'm going to be diving into today. And there's going to be, you know, a lot of great information. So, you know, why is electrolytes important? Well, a lot of the time people jump into the ketogenic diet and they get a lot of bad health responses from either being low in glycogen. You know, they may be really out of balance with their magnesium. They simply haven't had enough sodium, and so that leaves them really dehydrated because they're drinking plenty of water, not getting enough sodium, and it puts them in a state of hyponatremia, which is basically a loss of electrolytes due to excess water. And so the electrolytes on the ketogenic diet specifically, they go down because your glycogen levels decrease. And so your glycogen in your body is the storage of carbohydrates, or it's the storage of energy in the form of carbohydrates on your body that helps you function from day to day. And so you don't necessarily have to get that from carbohydrates, as we all know from the ketogenic diet. You can get that from fat, you can get that from ketones, you can get that from anywhere. And so what happens though is, on the ketogenic diet, your glycogen stores actually decrease, and you are doing that on purpose because you don't want to rely on sugar burning, you want to rely on fat burning, right? And so this is why your electrolytes sort of go down, is because your glycogen levels decrease. So Dolka says, hey, from New York. Renee says, excellent, this live is perfect for you. Electrolytes are very important when starting keto as it reduces the keto flu. Good luck. Yes, that's exactly right, Renee. It reduces the keto flu. It reduces a lot of other symptoms that can be come along with the ketogenic diet. So we'll jump into a few of those right now. So a lot of people, when they first start the ketogenic diet, they're really worried about their kidneys, and it's a bit of a myth. And so I'm here to debunk two myths in regards to that. That a high protein diet requires kidneys to work in overdrive, causing loss of water. And in actual fact, that's not true. A low carbohydrate diet and the corresponding high protein diet was not harmful for renal function in overweight and obese individuals without renal dysfunction. So what that actually means is that renal dysfunction is, the ability to have your kidneys in overdrive. And so for healthy individuals, there is no evidence to say that a high protein diet requires your kidneys to work in overdrive. There's absolutely no evidence. So it's really hard to say that, you're going to have kidney failure because you're going to have a high protein diet. Now, again, the ketogenic diet isn't high protein, it's high fat, moderate protein, low carb, but a lot of people are skewing the ratios a little bit recently. And it's interesting to know that high protein is not going to harm your kidneys. And there was a big myth around the whole Atkins thing, people were getting kidney stones, and the actual reliability of that information is not true. Myth number two is that your ketones overwork kidneys due to increased urine acidity. And that only happens in ketoacidosis. And for anyone here, we know that ketoacidosis is very, very different to ketosis. Ketoacidosis is if you're type 1 diabetic and your blood sugar levels increase along with your ketones. So in ketosis, your blood sugar levels stay pretty low, but your ketones raise up. Now, ketoacidosis can be fatal for people with diabetes, and it's not something you should be messing around with. So if you do have diabetes and you're thinking about starting a ketogenic diet, particularly type 1 diabetes, you really need to make sure you do this with the help of your doctor, and you should be looking into how you should be reducing your insulin levels depending on your insulin injections, depending on what you're doing with your diet, because obviously carbohydrates increase your insulin requirements, so on and so forth. So studies have been shown that a properly formulated ketogenic diet can actually help reverse diabetic neuropathy, which is crazy. And I got this information from Perfect Keto, and they've got a whole bunch of links in there as well. So if you want to go and dive deep down into that, then you definitely can. But diabetic neuropathy is a condition that occurs as a result of damaged kidneys due to diabetes. So again, the ketogenic diet is a fantastic resource for diabetics. But you do need to do it with the help of your doctor. But by the looks of things and by the looks of studies, it's really going to help you. So what are the main building blocks of electrolytes? Well, there's sodium, there's magnesium, there's calcium, potassium. So many people always talk about sodium and magnesium, neglect calcium and neglect potassium. Now those two things are important. It is 4 elements for electrolytes. It is very, very important that you understand that it is 4, and some of those can outbalance the other ones. And so we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but let's jump into sodium to start with. So sodium is one of the most important minerals on the ketogenic diet, and as I was saying before, the loss of muscle glycogen requires you to actually have more osmosis in your blood, and osmosis is basically where salt helps the transfusion from water into your cells, and it actually needs a little bit of glucose to be able to do that. So that's why in the recipe at the very end of this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a really easy at-home DIY electrolyte drink that doesn't cost anything. It's not going to cost you anything. You don't need to buy any tablets, anything like that. It's really just for you to be able to maintain a proper electrolyte balance. So salt maintains your body's water balance and aids in shuttling nutrients in and out of your cells and prevents dehydration, exactly what I was saying just before. And while it helps nerve function, it's used in many muscle contractions around your body. So every time you contract muscle, so if you're moving something, if you're pushing something, if you're talking, that is contracting muscles. And so we had a question just here, is it okay to use a coconut sugar while on keto? And no, coconut sugar is not keto friendly, purely because it just has too many carbs in it. Something like stevia, erythritol, and monk fruit are much better substitutes. So now, the thing with sodium, and people don't talk about this at all, is that too much potassium can actually reduce your sodium levels. and you know, generally you won't be substituting potassium with sodium, and most of the time you can't really get potassium that easily, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. But however, having sufficient vitamin D levels in your body will help counteract this. So vitamin D is a promoter of sodium, which means that people who are low in vitamin D are more susceptible to being having an electrolyte imbalance, because they have poor sodium retention, which is really interesting, because people who may not live out in the sun or maybe don't get enough vitamin D throughout the day, they have a poor sodium retention, which means that they can be dehydrated, and which means that they feel pretty crappy on the ketogenic diet, and they blame it on the ketogenic diet. And it's like, well, okay, you can go and get your vitamin D levels tested, and you can actually supplement with vitamin D if you do live in a cold country or somewhere that doesn't have much sunlight, and you can help, you know, prevent that sort of stuff. So making sure that you're not getting too much potassium will help retain the amount of sodium that you have by making sure you have adequate vitamin D levels. So I hope that makes sense. And as I was saying before, hyponatremia is where you drink so much water that you actually have an electrolyte imbalance. And so you have too little electrolytes and you have too much water in your body, and it causes this imbalance, and that imbalance is called hyponatremia, and it can actually be really dangerous. But it requires you to have a lot of water, and it's more dealing with athletes who are drinking a lot of water all the time, maybe not as much electrolytes, and they're dealing with a lot of hyponatremia. What about K2 for vitamin D deficiency? Yes, K2 is important to help with vitamin D as well, but at the moment we're really just talking about sodium. So vitamin D is a promoter of sodium. K2 is a whole nother thing, and we can maybe dig into that, but basically you can get K2 from butter, and you can also get a lot of butyric acid from butter as well. Very important sources of K2. So magnesium. Okay, so magnesium is probably one of my favorite minerals throughout the entire spectrum of everything, because I think it's important for pretty much everything. Now, it's the second most important part of the electrolyte chain, in my opinion. But it promotes strong bones, healthy teeth, healthy and relaxed muscles. It can help with PMS relief, and it has, it keeps you with healthy bowel movements. And high doses of calcium can actually deplete magnesium. No one talks about this either. So on the ketogenic diet, dairy is a big thing, and dairy has a lot of calcium. Now, if you're drinking or eating or consuming a lot of dairy all of the time, you really need to make sure that you have adequate magnesium levels. So magnesium, Mg, is the abbreviation there for the chemists out there. But making sure that you have enough vitamin D, enough magnesium is going to make sure that you don't deplete your magnesium if you're having a lot of dairy. Now, if you're not having a lot of dairy on the ketogenic diet, then maybe this isn't a problem for you. But all of this stuff is good to know, because if you are having a lot of calcium, it can deplete magnesium and vice versa. But with sufficient zinc, vitamin D, vitamin B1, vitamin B6, they are all important to help retain magnesium levels. So there's two trains of thought. It's like whether you should supplement with more magnesium, or whether you should actually try and balance your zinc levels and your B vitamins, and also your vitamin D levels there as well. As Renchke was saying before about K2 as well. These are all important things, and this is why whole foods are really important on the ketogenic diet. Just eating McDonald's burgers, McDonald's burgers all the time without the bun, you're not getting any of these electrolytes, you're not getting that whole balance of nutrients from your food. So, we have a question, what type of magnesium? So amino acid chelate and citrate are the most bioavailable magnesiums out there. They are much more bioavailable than magnesium carbonate or magnesium sulfate. So if you do have a magnesium supplement, make sure you check the back. If it's magnesium amino acid chelate or citrate, they're probably the best ones to get. They may be a little bit more expensive, but definitely more worth it in my opinion, if they're more bioavailable. But you can also get this sort of stuff from whole foods, as I was saying before: pumpkin, sesame, sunflower seeds, almonds, brewer's yeast, Brazil nuts, garlic, spinach, anything green. So green vegetables, because they have to point at the sun, they retain a lot of the magnesium in the chlorophyll. Now, chlorophyll is like the green part of a cell, And so if it has a lot of chlorophyll, means it has a lot of magnesium. So looking at any green vegetable always has a lot of good magnesium levels in it, and making sure you cook vegetables and retain the nutrients in them, so not boiling the shit out of them, is always a good option for that. So that's magnesium there, and so potassium, so abbreviated as K, it enables nutrients to move in and out of the cells, much like magnesium, promotes healthy nerves and muscles, relaxes muscles, helps secretion of insulin involved in blood sugar level control. So potassium is really, really important to help balance your insulin levels when you're dealing with blood sugar rises and dips and things like that. So anyone out there who has metabolic damage, whether they've been eating too many carbohydrates for their entire life, or they're doing the ketogenic diet to maintain a really good level of blood glucose, then potassium is really important. Now, potassium is actually pretty hard to get. I track a lot of my micronutrients using an app that's called Chronometer, and I'll put this in the link below. The Chronometer is a fantastic resource for anyone out there who is eating whole foods, putting it into a calculator, trying to stick with the ketogenic macros, but also wants to track their micronutrients as well. So what happens is that the team at Chronometer, they basically take foods and they say, okay, this has this amount of magnesium, potassium, B vitamins, blah, 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 and then you can track those micronutrients on your app. And this is all for free, and it's crazy, but you can actually track the amount of potassium. And for me, in my particular diet, I find it actually pretty hard to get potassium from whole foods. Maybe it's because I'm not having enough of the foods that actually have magnesium in them, but you know, that I thought I'd put that out there and sort of talk about that a little bit. So another thing as well, drinking too much coffee can actually deplete potassium and magnesium. So what happens when you drink too much coffee or too much caffeine is it spikes your adrenal glands, which in turn increases your cortisol levels, and cortisol has an effect on the amount of insulin that you can produce. And so your body will actually raise your blood sugar levels when you have too much caffeine and when you're in a stress or fight and flight response. So making sure that you're not drinking too much coffee is actually something that's really important here as well. So what about the no salt substitute? So the potassium in it's called diet salt or light salt. I don't know how I feel about that one yet because it contains aluminium. Now aluminium is a heavy metal and it's not the good kind. It's not like the woo heavy metal, it's bad. It's called anti-caking agent 455, and if you look at the back of the ingredients, that's actually aluminium. So I don't know how I feel about that yet. I don't know if there's any studies out there that are actually saying that that type of aluminium isn't going to cause you any harm. But at this point in time, I'm not actively saying that this is going to be a good or a bad thing for potassium. What I do think is trying to get it from whole foods is probably a better option. So instead, you don't want to be supplementing with potassium too much because you can actually cause cardiac arrest if you have too much potassium. So all of this, again, this is not medical advice, but this is stuff that you need to actually know, because if you're taking, I think there's about 1,000 milligrams of potassium in one of those Zip Fizz that you can get in America. If you're having 18 of those, you can actually go into cardiac arrest. So don't supplement too much with potassium. What I recommend instead is actually getting enough magnesium to help hold the potassium in your body's cells. So again, two trains of thought, having too much potassium coming in, and if you've got a leakage somewhere that's spurting out potassium, you can either try and do that, and your body might be able to get a little bit of it as it goes in and out. But what you can do is you can actually maintain a good healthy amount of magnesium, which actually helps retain the potassium, which means you don't need as much. So two trains of thought. I probably prefer saving the minerals as opposed to just supplementing and spitting them out again. But consuming excess sodium from salt and alcohol and stress can all lower potassium levels. So keeping this in mind is really important. But however, this is not known on the ketogenic diet. There's not enough studies to be actually done here. It's just information. So calcium is the next supplement in the electrolyte chain. As you know, a lot of people know a lot about calcium, so we won't stick on this one too much, but again, it supports strong, healthy bones, teeth and heart. It improves your skin, relieves aching muscles and hormone secretion. So again, it's really important for blood sugar level control. The recommended daily dose is easily achieved by consuming cheese, almonds, brewer's yeast, parsley, artichokes, pumpkin seeds, and cabbage. So the important thing to understand about calcium is that calcium and magnesium go hand in hand. So as well as vitamin D, so excessive of vitamin D can actually interfere with your absorption of calcium. So it's best to have vitamin D and calcium separately. So if you're thinking about it, if you're out in the sun and you're eating cheese to make sure that you're getting enough calcium, those two things can interfere with each other. So that's just something to keep in mind. Excessive alcohol can actually, have an effect on the absorption of calcium. Same with a lack of exercise and too much caffeine. So again, so many people are talking about coffee and its beneficial effects, but again, too much and you're going to skew your electrolyte imbalances. So keeping caffeine and coffee in moderation, 1 to 2 cups a day, is your best bet. So, just keep these things in mind when consuming dairy products. Now, if you're not consuming dairy products, again, making sure you're getting plenty of seeds, plenty of pumpkin seeds, artichokes and cabbage, parsley, brewer's yeast, they're all good sources of calcium too. So this is the homemade recipe that I recommend everyone do on the ketogenic diet. So as we have a comment here, so vitamin D in the AM and calcium in the evening, that can be a very good way to do it, or vice versa, calcium in the morning and vitamin D, no, that doesn't work. If you're getting vitamin D from the sun, that would definitely in the morning. So getting the first rays of sunlight is really important for not only vitamin D, but also for hormone secretion. The blue light, there's a whole bunch of light theory in there that is really important to dip into. It's not something I'm going to cover here, but these are the types of things I cover in the weekly coaching session over at the Complete Keto Diet. So this homemade recipe that I recommend everyone do is 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. So that helps with your blood sugar level control. So apple cider vinegar has been proven to actually reduce the blood sugar level effect of carbohydrates. So if you think, and I did a post on this on YouTube the other day, is that if you have something with a fair amount of carbohydrates in it, and I know we're coming up into the holiday season, so I'm not saying go out there and cheat and everything is going to be okay, but if you want to mitigate the risk, then using apple cider vinegar to your advantage is going to help. So I hope that's a really good tip there. But 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. Now the lemon juice is to help the salt be absorbed into your body. You actually need a tiny little bit of glucose for that to happen. So that is what the lemon juice is in there for. Again, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Now cream of tartar is a good source of potassium. Now cream of tartar, you probably won't taste it in this recipe, but if you do think that any of those ingredients in there are going to taste awful, then using two drops of stevia extract is actually a really good way to cheat the system. And it tastes really nice and sweet. What I do with this is I mix it with mineral water. So I have a soda water machine here, and you put that with some soda water, and it's just fantastic. It tastes like kombucha because of the vinegary taste from the apple cider vinegar, and you have a little bit of lemon juice and salt. It's really delicious, and it's really good for you, and it's not going to kick you out of anything crazy. Making sure you're getting enough green vegetables on the ketogenic diet is also important because magnesium is not involved there, or you can supplement with magnesium acid, amino chelate, or citrate, which is what I was talking about before. So does anyone have any questions? Now is the time to do the questions for this, this little segment here. I always get a lot of questions about, should I be using diet salt or light salt? And again, as I was saying before, it's something that I am not sure of because of the aluminium content. Now, if you're not so worried about any aluminium and you use aluminium deodorant and it's not something that's really on your forefront, then maybe that is going to be okay for you. So Renee says, yep, do the same with soda water, it's delicious. Yeah, so it looks like Renee also does the same thing with her, electrolyte drink as well. So again, if anyone has any questions about any of the topics in here, you can go and re-watch this video because this is going to be live on the YouTube channel. But if you do have any questions, so how much water in the electrolyte recipe? So if you think about maybe a cup like this, you do the apple cider vinegar. So if you just fill the rest of your cup with the mineral water or with the soda water, then that recipe is going to be fantastic. That's probably how much. Again, that's just a normal cup. If you want it a little bit more diluted than that, you can add more. So if you have a larger glass, I probably wouldn't add this to much more than like 400 or 500 mils. If you go into the 600, 700, 800 mils, then I would start doubling the recipe. But always taste and make sure it's not going to be too intense. Again, sometimes people don't like the apple cider vinegar taste, so it can be a little bit too intense. So Renuka says, "Hi Anne, I'm from Sri Lanka. Thanks for your advice." Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it's been really helpful. And so Entry 66 says, "How can I start? I don't know how to take the first step." Okay. Well, this is where I think a lot of people inside this video are going to really benefit. So I do these types of coaching calls every single week. I do these inside of the Complete Keto Diet, and I thought I'd make this one public just to, sort of give you a little bit of an insight on what happens in there. I do this every week. You also get, these weekly coaching sessions. You get exclusive access to the 3 courses that I sell. So the Beginner's Ketogenic Beginner's Ketogenic Guide, the Kickstart Guide, the Marathon and the Half Marathon Training Course. I also have a 6-pack program in there, but that one's sort of a little bit, it's not that it's not bad, it's just I don't know how I feel about promoting 6-pack programs, but it's in there. It's a nice little 10-minute exercise workout regime, and it'll help you get a flatter stomach if that's something that is important to you. You get one-on-one coaching with me, so if you decide to go and do the 6-month plan or the 1-year plan, then you get you get coaching sessions with me one-on-one, just like this, so I get to actually answer your questions specifically. You join a community of like-minded people, so all the people inside the keto community, some of those people are in the Complete Keto Diet community as well. And we have a really great mix of people in there. Some of the people who initially did the Kickstart course with me at the start of this year, they are now in the Complete Keto Diet course as well. And they're fantastic ladies in there. Everyone is in there to help each other out. And there's a Facebook group and there's everything in there for that. So that is really, really beneficial. You get access to the adjustments calculator. So this one's pretty important because what happens is that you get a weekly meal plan. And that weekly meal plan gets sent to your inbox every single week. You get to follow that, whatever that is. But that is set at a particular macronutrient and caloric ratio. Now, if you want to change that at any point, you can go in and do your adjustments inside the keto adjustments calculator. And I think that one's really important because some people, you don't want to be eating too little for your metabolic rate because you're slowing it down too much. And again, you don't want to be eating too much because you're not going to be losing any weight. So, both of those sort of conflict, but that calculator is going to help you out there. You get weekly shopping lists. So for all the meal plans, it comes with the weekly shopping list and the weekly overview, and you get unlimited email support from me. So the benefits of this is insane, and all of this you get for $19 Australian a month. So even if you're from America, $19 Australian is probably going to be like $12 American. And all of the benefits in there are going to really help you take that first step. So Entry 66, how do I start? I don't know how to take the first steps. Then the Complete Keto Diet is going to be for you. So Reneki says, what is your opinion about apple cider vinegar and teeth? I don't have an apple cider vinegar and teeth opinion, but Renee says apple cider vinegar can be harsh on your teeth, same with lemon juice. Don't sip it all day, alternate with water, or brush your teeth at lunch. Great advice. So the acidic content in there can probably eradicate some of the enamel on your teeth, so making sure that you either pair it with the time you're going to brush your teeth, or make sure you get some water in there as well. So don't drink just that all day, but that is your electrolyte drink, and it's something that you can also do this without the apple cider vinegar. If you don't think you need the blood sugar level control, then just leave it out. Same with the lemon juice, you can just have salt, and it's not going to be all bioavailable, but again, it's going to help in the retention and the absorption of that. So I have a really awesome code for you guys. If you use YouTube, you get 15% off until the 19th of November. So that means for the next week, you get you get 15% off the complete keto diet course. So from $19, it would probably become it's $1.90 plus. So it'd come down to about $15, $16 or something like that, 15% off. And you know, I think that's a pretty good deal. For YouTube, you get 15% off, and just for until the 19th of November. So there's only a really small, limited amount of time for this to happen. Again, if you do want to join the weekly, the complete keto diet after the 19th of November, that's totally fine, but you won't get the 15% off. So, you know, I think this style of video is something that I really love doing, because I really love diving into the, you know, the nitty-gritty details. And I hope this has been really informative for you as well. Some people out there, they may be a little bit more advanced, and you know, they may require a little bit more of an advanced aspect to the ketogenic diet, but I think for most people, what we've covered in today's session has been really approachable, and sort of gives you a little bit of an indication on what you should be doing, and then what you shouldn't be doing as well. So vegetarians can do the keto diet. Yes, they definitely can. So I haven't released it yet, but I also have 8 weeks worth of vegetarian keto meals. They are specifically for the vegetarian ketogenic diet. I don't have any vegan ones yet, but I think vegan and the ketogenic diet, it's trying to like tick a few boxes that I haven't really figured out how to yet. So for anyone who is interested in you know, starting the ketogenic diet, making sure that you're getting the right information and the right place to do it, with 15% off again from using the code YouTube, you can get 15% off until the 19th of November. It's really a no-brainer. The link is in the description of this video. If it's something that you really want to do, if you really want to get out there and lose weight, if you want to start, you get a 7-day free trial. So even if it doesn't work for you in the first 7 days, you can just cancel it. And I also have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So if any of the stuff doesn't work for you after 60 days, just email me. You have my open email address, so just send me an email and say, hey, it didn't work for me, I'd love my money back. And I will give it to you back. That's totally fine. I don't need your money. I want to help you, you know, adapt to the ketogenic diet the best way possible. So again, my name is Aaron. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got a lot of information out of this video, and I will be seeing some of you next week for the weekly coaching session. But if not, then that's totally fine. I'll still be uploading videos to my YouTube channel. Probably not as in-depth as this, but I think this sort of stuff is going to be really important for some people. So again, thanks for watching, and I will see some of you next week.